From a distance, it appears as if life in the small village of Nagoro, Japan is thriving. Children ride their bicycles and grandmas tend to their gardens. But if you were to peek into a window at the school, you would notice something amiss about the students. Even though they sit attentively at their desks, eyes trained on the teacher, and even though they appear to run throughout the halls, they do not move, they do not breathe, they do not age, because they are dolls. Big reveal. Of the village's residents, less than 40 are living, breathing people, and 350 are dolls. Nagoro is a village that is facing extinction. Nagoro once had a population of over 300 living residents. When the Nagoro Dam was being built on the island of Shikoku in the mid-20th century, jobs and industry came to the village. Eventually, however, the work dried up, and people left for bigger cities and better opportunities. In the decades that followed, the isolated village dwindled down to a handful of elderly residents. A person in their 60s is considered a youngster, and no children, which is why the closed down school is populated by dolls rather than students. But the obvious question, Caitlin, is what's with all the dolls? With a population that has left or died and will continue to die and not be replenished, the dolls are memorials to those who once lived in Nagoro. 68-year-old Tsukimi Ayano creates the doll memorials as tributes to the people who once populated her town. Born in Nagoro, Tsukimi left for Osaka in her youth, returning in her 50s to care for her father. As she watched her village die, she saw an opportunity to both memorialize and cheer up Nagoro. Though the doll children who fill the school are not necessarily memorials to those who have died, a good number of the dolls, a man fishing by the river, two smiling women sharing a secret outside of a shuttered building, are people that Tsukimi knew and outlived. Sitting in front of an abandoned house sits the doll memorial of Mrs. Ogata Miyako, a woman who died several years ago. Says Tsukimi of Ogata-san, "She used to sit like that in front of the house, so I made the figure exactly like her. I come around and greet her all the time, so it feels like she's still here." With her advancing age, as well as the age of those who share her village, death is both a constant companion and inspiration. Nagoro, frankly, is running out of people. And while there might be some who wonder if Tsukimi's dolls that she's constantly replacing as they only live for about 3 years each, are a way for her to pretend that death isn't happening all around her. But Tsukimi might counter that it's her way of embracing it. She's death positive. She wouldn't use that term, but maybe she would. One person's monument is another person's death doll. Tsukimi is sad about the future of Nagoro, or lack thereof. And she accepts that there's nothing to be done about the death of her fellow villagers and the eventual death of the village itself. We have to accept, she says, that this is the way things are going to be. Concerning her own death, she's rather casual about it, readily acknowledging that with the nearest hospital 90 minutes away, she'd probably die before making it there if something happens to her, but she just smiles and shrugs it off. Tsukimi Ayano's dolls are unique, but dolls and death have long gone hand in hand. In the Victorian era, young girls were sometimes given death kits to prepare them for the responsibility of facilitating a funeral. Toys during this time were not only entertainment, but used to train girls and boys for their adult roles. It was considered women's work to prepare a body for viewing, dressing and arranging it, as well as helping others mourn and conducting death rituals. A kit would include a doll, burial garments, and very often a small coffin. "Oh, Mummy's got a headache. Be a lamb, Gertrude, and go play funeral with your corpse." In the case of a small child or infant's death, if a family had the means, they might have a realistic wax doll made of their child, a mourning doll. That doll would be dressed in the child's clothing, maybe even adorned with some of its hair, and would be depicted as merely sleeping. The concept is actually very similar to the hyper-realistic reborn dolls still being made today. Arranged for the wake and funeral of the child it was modeled after, the mourning doll would be displayed near the dead child, then either left at the child's grave after burial or kept in the home to be displayed in a glass coffin. In some cases, families would continue to care for the doll, potentially putting sand in the body to make its weight more realistic, regularly changing its clothes and placing it in a crib. But don't worry, not all corpse dolls were quite so grim in Victorian times. Okay, they kind of were. But to end this video on a sweeter note, if you were a Victorian child, amidst all the funeral kits and mourning dolls, you might look forward to finding a tiny corpse in your birthday cake. In the mid-1800s, it became popular to bake little porcelain dolls called frozen Charlottes or frozen Charlies into cakes or puddings. Children would hope to find the wee prize in their slice of cake, reminding them to heed their parents so they don't wind up dead. Let me explain. The doll's popularity was attributed to a song called Fair Charlotte, based on an 1843 poem called A Corpse Going to a Ball, which really isn't as festive as it sounds. In the poem, beautiful young Charlotte decides to go to a ball on a frigid night. Her mother warns her to bundle up, but because she is so vain and wants people to see her dress on the 16-mile ride to the ball, she remains uncovered in her beau Charles's sleigh and dies. The pale porcelain dolls that sometimes come with coffins were reminders to young Victorian children that it's all fun and games until someone freezes to death for vanity. But hey, somebody's got to put all those funeral kit skills to use, right? So from the isolated tranquility of Nagoro to maybe your next birthday cake, death and dolls go together like peanut butter and jelly, quesadillas and cranberry sauce, little girls and funeral directing. What's your favorite morbid toy? Well, my camera died right before I could introduce you to my favorite morbid toy. This little angel right here, which I got from the Amish in Iowa when I was a child. Hey girl. This video was made with generous donations from death enthusiasts just like you. Did I miss anything?